All right. Okay. Welcome back to Conservative Brother Daily. I'm back with one of my final. This might be my last video before the election. So definitely wanted to give my thoughts to. I really wanted to kind of just make this part of what I like to call "To Be Fair" series or "To Be Fair" video. So me being Conservative Brother Daily, you could probably guess which way I'm going to vote. But to be fair, I am objective, and I do like to kind of challenge people with facts and expectations. And I'm going to do this video on the legit reasons not to vote for Trump. These are legitimate reasons, things, criticisms I had of Trump over the years, things I've made swayed away from him, things things where I would have came back. But the whole point of this is to clear the whole BS. And I'm not going to address all the other stuff that the liberals just kind of come after Trump for, just been debunked, that, they're just fear mongering. I'm just going to talk about the real reasons and concerns I do have with Trump that would, some voters may decide not to really vote for him. And I definitely understand that. So let me go ahead and break this down. So once again, you'll see that at best, maybe Trump's just as racist as the Democrats and Joe Biden is, or at best, Trump is just as corrupt as all the other politicians and all the other Democrats and establishment Republicans locking step against him are just as guilty, if not worse, than Trump. So that's kind of as much rope as I'm going to give you. Where once again, I'm going to give you these reasons. I'm not going to go into huge detail. I leave it up to you to look it up yourself and do your own research. I'm just going to give you what no one else, I don't think any other conservative influencer is doing right now on the eve of the election, is I'm going to give you some legitimate reasons not to vote for Trump. And it's not the Trump derangement syndrome. He's a threat to democracy. He's a white supremacist. It's just, hey, these are the facts. These are the conflicts. These are some of his establishment ties. These are some of his stances, foreign policy and otherwise, that being an emotional, rational voter, yeah, I want to vote for Trump for that reason. So, to be fair, this is going to be the first of a series where I'll do things where, yeah, I'll make certain stances where, oh, he's a conservative Republican. I'm not a Republican, I'm a conservative. And no, how would he actually? I can't believe he would think that way. Yeah, I would. So, let's break these down. Starting with my first reason I wouldn't, if didn't vote for Donald Trump, the first reason would be, let me go ahead and pull it up. Reasons not to vote for Trump, why I would choose not to. First of all, hold on, y'all. Okay, first reason. Now, once again, the thing is that the media brings this up. They know, and I'm going to make this point. If the media actually brought all these real legitimate reasons or concerns behind Donald Trump, they'd all know that all the other former presidents are guilty, if not more, the same thing. And if you set a president to call out the president for this sort of stuff, then all the other former presidents are on the hook. So, first reason bad things actually don't like Trump for, legitimate reasons not to vote for him, is that he signed off on a commando raid in Yemen that resulted in the death of an 8-year-old American girl. You can look this up. That happened during his presidency. Now, at the same time, you have to go and look at Obama, who once again he did a drone strike, I believe, in that similar country where Alihara Alakman, or it's like a 16-year-old kid. He was a son of a terrorist who was at a shop, innocent American that got killed. So if you unearth that, what Trump did, that Yemen raid that killed an 8-year-old girl, you got to look into Obama as well. You don't get to play favorites. The whole "no one is above the law" applies to both sides. Second, another legitimate reason not to vote for Trump is he appointed a Raytheon lobbyist to run the Secretary of Defense. One thing Trump always gets a lot of slack for the right is that he made horrible appointments. His first uh, presidency, he definitely made a lot of picks, swamp creatures that ended up coming after him and working against him. So the fact that Raytheon, one of the leading weapon manufacturers, for the war machine, he appointed a Raytheon lobbyist to run the Secretary of Defense. So that didn't fare too well. And for those of us that are anti-war, pretty bad luck. He took no firm position on the federal right to work legislation that can hurt and weaken the Teamsters labor unions and other labor unions. He felt such laws were best decided left to individual state governments, which I can kind of see because same thing how abortion's kind of left up to the states, but at the same time, there's a lot of labor people super like do whatever that serves our labor union who don't like that. And I could definitely see people not voting for him for that. He did conduct the Abraham Accords, that once again, on the surface, was a good thing that once again brought together these countries with a peace deal. The only criticism with the Abraham Accords is um, in some ways it did open the door to the October 7th attacks because it didn't recognize Palestine or Hamas, kind of marginalized them. And basically, they started the negotiation peace deal behind their backs as if Palestine didn't exist. So, once again, it helped with all the other countries, but I think in some ways it was kind of a slap in the face that did help sort of fuel the October 7th conflict. Another legitimate reason not to vote for Trump, if we were being honest, he never apologized for Operation Warp Speed. And basically, that whole program, putting the vaccine on this crazy development schedule, and pretty much enabling Dr. Fauci, setting him off on the leash, and never firing him. To be honest, never fired him. He also intentionally pulled an investigation into Pfizer. I don't have information on what year that was, whether it was right before the COVID or pretty much right after doing the vaccine. But he had some part to do with that. I'm already mentioned about there are some rumblings about he did help fund the Saudi war in Yemen, even though it was more of a raid. And once again, it killed an 8-year-old girl by a drone. Let me just go ahead and add that here. So I'm going to repeat that again. Gave 3 times the money to Planned Parenthood than Barack Obama did. So I don't haven't seen once again any articles or evidence of this. But once again, someone who's supposed to be this pro-life president, apparently he has given money in the past. We don't know whether it was back in his 90s, 2000 liberal days, and he was a liberal even up through early 2010. So just some rumors, but I don't have substantiated evidence on that. There are rumblings that he cut corporate taxes to the wealthiest, increasing debt, feeding all the corporate donors in the swamp that he said he would drain. But once again, the Trump tax laws that I know that were pretty favored toward the middle upper class. I can't recall lower working people being as hard hit by it. Blowing up budgets and attached Congressman Thomas Massey, who stood up against and called out the $2 trillion COVID stimulus bailout. So he did call that out. That led to some of the early inflation. So it was a factor, even though Kamala, when they went in there and passed the Inflation Reduction Act and drained the strategic oil reserve, that had the biggest impact on inflation. But once again, writing out this $2 trillion COVID stimulus that contributed to inflation as well. But at this point, the Dems and the establishment had already released the virus, made him shut down the country, and pretty much caused the disaster he's in. So really, he really had no choice but to do that. Unfortunately, sign off on that $1 trillion stimulus package because then they would have ran him even more for not doing that. Another legitimate reason not to vote for Trump in 2023, he still supported House Speaker Kevin McCarthy through the year, through the inner. Now, I think that stuff was healthy. Now, Kevin McCarthy, if anything, I will give him this that he did he did stick to the main establishment. And then, unfortunately, after all that, we ended up getting House Speaker Johnson in there, and he's pretty much just as swampy or more aligned with the Uniparty as Kevin McCarthy was. So really, we just swapped one swamp creature for another as far as House Speaker. So I mean, I think it was made for very interesting entertainment, um, and I don't think we gained a whole lot just by switching them. And I think also them voting out George Santos was a big mistake, and shortening their majority in the House. But I thought that was I thought that him still supporting Kevin McCarthy and he's not going with the dissenters in the House wasn't a good look. Apparently, he also supported a military coup in Bolivia. I did do some research on that the other day. Apparently, it failed and didn't go through. They wasn't successful, but he was part of, at least signing off on doing some sort of military coup in Bolivia, even though it wasn't successful. Um, there's some ramblings that he had some part in the NATO expansion, sent some weapons to Ukraine, even when Obama wouldn't. I don't know all the sources behind that. Um, it's also showed that Trump also began the unprecedented prosecution of Julian Assange that even Obama avoided, saying Obama at the time saying it set a dangerous precedent, and now Biden continues that same prosecution and demonization. Apparently, they did cut a deal with Julian as of now while Biden's still in office, but we'll see how that pans out. Oh yeah, brought in warmonger, war profiteers, Jared Kushner and Nikki Haley into his administration. Big no. So that goes back to Trump sort of, and hopefully he's learning now or has better people around him that he brought in these war hawks, these uniparty Republican elites. So I definitely bash him on that. While I'm still voting for the guy, like he has to get better at picking better people around him. It was both Obama and Trump administrations that had an active role in the destabilization of Venezuela. This was true. Ever since Chavez and Maduro wanted to keep its own country's natural resources of oil, and this is once again close to him saying, "Hey, we're staying for the oil," or "Man, if we almost had Venezuela, we could have gotten all that oil." So that's something of every single president. Where once again we go to these countries not to spread freedom and democracy. We're there for the resources. We go to a country and we never leave. So Obama, Bush, Trump continued that precedent. So once again, if you're going to call Trump out on that, you got to call out the other ones did the same thing. There was apparently an annulment clause that Pelosi and Democrats themselves benefit off of that he may have passed. I don't know if anybody wants to look into that and let me know. Took 1 million from Pfizer. Uh, Took 1 million from Pfizer around the time of the inauguration as a peace offering. Brought the Taliban to Camp David. Now, I would say, I'll probably be like, oh my God, how can you do that? That did lead to the negotiation deal that got us out of Afghanistan. Biden screwed that up with his horrible withdrawal with no plan, the 13 Gold Star members killed. But I don't really see that as like something negative because he did negotiate the deal. It's just that Biden botched the withdrawal because he had plenty of notice coming into office on doing it the right way, not leaving $100 billion worth of weapons over there. Um, Apparently, he got us. Trump also got us out of the IMF treaty. I don't have a whole lot of info on that. And once again, I talked about this before. He kept Fauci as the head of the task force throughout 2020. Didn't fire this guy soon enough. Once again, the amount of pressure and this sort of new threat, I can understand the hesitation, but eventually through the end of 2020, even 2020, even through his office, he never got rid of Fauci. He should have done that. Um, he pardoned a cocaine and marijuana major drug dealer, Alex Johnson. This wasn't a guy who was like a teen and got caught selling a bag on the corner. This was like a major drug lord, Alex Johnson. So him pardoning him, I mean, I get him giving clemency to like Kwame Kilpatrick and whatnot, but this guy didn't seem like good tip. Signed the Abraham Accords once again that some could say led up to the events of October 7th, locking down and shutting down the economy, supporting the pro lockdown governors, which I don't buy into fully. Once again, all the governors, president can't control what the governors do for their state. He gave them the right to do that. So if you were upset of being so locked down, who was your Democrat governor? Who was your governor? I'm pretty sure they lean Democrat if they locked you down like that. Once again, talked about warp speed, just picking Mike Pence as a running mate. And once again, Mike Pence still lies to this day. He was never asked to overturn the 2020 election. I do want to give Trump some credit here. He was only asked to do was to rule was that there was a dispute and to rescind it back uh, to the state legislator, which the Constitution holds to say that there are 150 members of Congress who can dispute it there. There needs to be made needing a meeting to be discussed. Instead, they broke the law to deny them that. So basically, instead of Trump having that constitutional right to do that, Mike Pence, they kept telling Mike Pence, no, you can't do that. And basically, he ended up breaking the law, denying Trump the right to do that, to dispute it, send it back to the state legislators who could review it. Also, back in the day, Trump did take a loan from $160 million loan from George Soros. Once again, I believe this was pre 2010s, still a New York liberal. And even Vivek took like some scholarship from like a relative of George Soros. That doesn't mean, oh my God, he got puppet strings. Um, all right, sign an order to end the Afghanistan war after 2020 election and then rescind it the next day. Any of these guys want to do more research on or tell me more about it, great. But I'm not going beyond just the detail. Yeah, Trump did that bogus bashing of Ron DeSantis when Ron was still running in the race, claiming he did a terrible job. I just don't understand what that was about. Everybody knows at least Ron had a great way of navigating COVID as Florida governor. So when Trump kind of was just being petty and deciding, oh, Ron was terrible at Florida, that just didn't make sense. Trump, another legitimate reason not to vote for Trump, he didn't fire FBI Chief Christopher Wray. And what you may notice is that all these reasons are things that maybe the left or Kamala voters have never heard before. They don't know any of these details. They just know Trump's the big bad orange man. They have no context and they don't realize a lot of these reasons I'm listing. These are once again things that the Democrats, other former presidents are guilty of as well, or if not more guilty. But the media won't recognize that because then that's going to force questions on what have other presidents done. So that's why I kind of bring this up. Apparently, he allowed a trans woman to compete in a women's Miss America pageant that he oversaw or owned, a while back. I don't think obviously he's pushing that, but maybe it was an oversight. Maybe, for whatever reason, I don't think he was pro championing that on. This is a big one. Let a Hillary Clinton off the hook while in office because the whole lock her up Hillary, and we were like, yeah, let's lock Hillary up for her crimes. And this once again goes to show, like that's the reason I want to, but maybe not vote for Trump. But it goes to show, yeah, he didn't weaponize his DOJ to go after anybody. And now you see everybody that the Biden DOJ is going after. He didn't even go after Hillary. So that alone, while that could be a pissed off reason people don't vote for him, like, yeah, you never held Hillary accountable. That just goes to show, like, hey, what he's doing compared to what Biden's doing, you can't even be compared. Yeah, didn't fire any Soros-funded far left prosecutors while in office. That's huge. I know he doesn't have extent over all of them, but I think at a federal level, there's certain Soros-funded prosecutors he could have went after, got rid of, who have those conflicts. Only built 50 miles of border wall, added 8 trillion net to the national debt, not only leading to economy inflation after Biden took office, that contributed to it. Once again, turned over Fauci. See here. Turned over country to Fauci once again in 2020. Lockdowns and the infinite money printing continued. He proposed the Johnson Amendment to Christians. I don't know a whole lot about that, but maybe that'd be worth doing some more research on. And then finally, some legitimate reasons not to vote for Trump, even though I am. Because once again, Democrats are guilty of a lot of the same stuff that Trump should be called out on. He didn't repeal or replace Obamacare. Once again, people lost their private insurance. Money went up. It wasn't as beautiful as everybody thought. Um, didn't regulate executive. Oh, I need a few more minutes. I, in the garage? Okay, hold on. I'll be down. Didn't regulate executive branch and make government smaller. His last day in office, he gave out presidential accommodations to Fauci, General Milley, Deborah Birx, Jared Kushner, Slowey, part of Operation Warp Speed, and Alex Azar, the HHS director. So that's the kind of final nail in the coffin that you gave these out and held none of them accountable. So once again, these are the legitimate reasons to not vote for Donald Trump, to be fair. So once again, I'll talk to you guys next time. And remember, stay awake. stay awake, not woke. And I'll talk to you guys next time, and we'll see who wins this election. See ya.